Hello, my friends. My name is Ryan Freeman, and thank you for coming to this channel. Today, I'm going to give you my 6-month update on my rotator cuff repair surgery rehabilitation. 6 months ago, if you have not watched the first video, I talked about how my surgery went. I had a rotator cuff repair as well as a acromioplasty where they removed a bone spur as well as a bicep tenodesis, which is where they cut the long head of the bicep tendon and reattach it down here, I think to the humerus, some arm bone. Okay, so I had these procedures done because my shoulder had a lot of problems over the years and was getting worse. It was still a very difficult decision, and it has been an interesting process over these last 6 months. I'm going to tell you sort of the long story short, and then I'll get into some of the details if you're interested. So, long story short, as of right now, 6 months after the surgery, I am not 100%. The doctor that I saw recently said your soft tissue is really good. It's recovered miraculously. However, she was not impressed with the external rotation. That's where this arm can really sort of go back. It's not bad, but it's not a full range of motion. So, in other words, I've had a very good recovery over the past 6 months. However, my full range of motion still needs work. Now, that's the long story short. Now let's get into some of the details. Was I happy that I did the surgery? As of right now, I'm fairly happy that I did it. It was a very difficult 6 months. It was more challenging in some ways than I expected. And the biggest challenge was the mental factor, because I was always worried that something was going to go wrong, always unsure of whether I was making progress. And I have a little regret. That I only relied on my surgeon for the rehabilitation, that I didn't go see a physical therapist sooner. I have seen a couple physical therapists, and I started doing that a few weeks ago. Because I realized that I was coming upon the 6-month mark, which my surgeon had originally told me at 6 months, you should be pain-free and have a full range of motion. You should be able to return to training whatever sport you want at your full capacity. That's what should happen if you follow my protocols. And the surgeon gave me really only a few protocols. I've covered these in the last few videos, just a few different stretches, a few different exercises, but not a lot of guidance. And the last time I had saw my surgeon was on July 4th. So it was only a little less than 3 months after the surgery. And he had said, you shouldn't have to see me again unless you have a serious pain that doesn't go away. You can go back to training light. Don't go back to full training until October, which is now. And I said, should I see a physical therapist? Everything had progressed really well. I had been reading comments online of people talking about their physical therapy, talking about the exercises and the stretches that really help them. But my doctor here in Taiwan, I should have mentioned that at the beginning. If you didn't know, I'm an American living in Taiwan, and I got my surgery done in Taiwan for about $2,000 US total. My doctor said he didn't think I needed physical therapy, just unless there was an issue. But reading online about people where physical therapy was a very important part, I was just sort of doing my own physical therapy. I was sort of doing my own rehabilitation, my own stretches, my own workout. I started lifting weights. I started doing like modified push-ups. I just try to push the capacity of my shoulder. And I noticed I was improving. I noticed I was gaining my strength back. First of all, I was quite a bit weaker than than I imagined I would have been lifting weights, but my strength progressed. But I noticed that external rotation, you see, this one can go far back. This one's better now. But like, if you could even imagine just a few weeks ago, it was a little bit further. And I realized I don't know if I need help or not. So let's just try to get help. So I finally made an appointment with a doctor of physical therapy. There's a physical therapy center at this hospital where I had my surgery. And I saw this doctor and she said, oh my God, okay, listen to me. Your surgeon is really good at what he does, but we have a difference of opinion when it comes to rehabilitation. And I feel like you should have been in here sooner. Okay, Ryan, let's do the test. She goes, yeah, your shoulder's kind of stiff. Your soft tissue's excellent, but your shoulder's kind of stiff. So I do recommend that you start coming in for physical therapy a couple times a week. And so what happens is they gave me like a stamp card. And so I've been going to their physical therapy center twice a week before work, working with their physical therapist, who I should mention, if you do physical therapy at a hospital in Taiwan, because it is so cheap and so accessible, it can be quite crowded. And you might not get the one-on-one attention that you might need or might want. There are private physical therapists, and I will come to that in just a moment. And a lot of people poo-poo the physical therapy at the hospitals. They say all they do is just give you a heat pad and give you some like electric shock therapy. And that is part of it. And you know, like you go in, I get a hot towel and I put it on my shoulder for 15, 20 minutes, supposed to loosen it up. But I actually do have a physical therapist, the same one that I see, the same guy who's in charge of my shoulder. And he does stretches. He's taught me exercises, speaks decent English. And I feel like I'm in good hands. He's not only stretching me out, you know, in ways that I can't necessarily do on my own, but he's teaching me exercises, giving me ideas of things that I can do at home, which is great. However, I didn't want to just rely on the hospital physical therapy. I wanted to try a private physical therapist, someone at my school highly recommended. And however, private physical therapy is a lot more expensive. At the hospital, it's ridiculously cheap. I mean, I don't even know how to break it down, but it's like we're talking a couple bucks each time I go. But the private is about 40 US, actually about 43 US per hour. So I have been I've seen him twice. I've been going once a week. I will see him again in a couple days. So once a week, this very successful, very busy man, probably around 30-ish, who used to work in the hospital and now has his own private business. And I see him for about an hour on Sundays. And I noticed between him and the doctors or the physical therapist at the hospital that the feeling of his expertise, the way he handles my shoulder, it feels like you get what you pay for. I don't know how to say it. I can see why he's so successful. The stretches, the way that he handles my shoulder, the way that he manipulates my limbs, and the exercises that he teaches me are different than the ones the ones I'm learning in the hospital. So I'm very glad I'm going to both. I'm sort of getting both of their opinions. And over the past, I've only been doing physical therapy for about 2.5 weeks. Over the past 2.5 weeks, both physical therapists, the one at the hospital and the one that I'm seeing privately, have both noticed that I've made a significant improvement in range of motion. A big question on my mind was, when can I return to Jiu-Jitsu? Jiu-Jitsu was my main sport for about 7 to 8 years before I ended up having surgery. And I had been out of jiu-jitsu for a couple months leading up to my surgery, trying to give my shoulder, to see if my shoulder could recover naturally and perhaps I wouldn't need surgery, but it didn't, which is why I got the surgery. And I've just been so eager to get back. That my question for the doctor of physical therapy, my physical therapist at the hospital, and my physical therapist that I see privately has been, when can I go back? The doctor, this woman, not my surgeon, but this doctor of physical therapy, she said, look, your surgeon said you can go back, but to be honest, Ryan, I see a lot of re-injuries, a lot of re-tears around the 6-month mark. So I recommend that you don't go back until the year mark. I said, a year? Oh my God, I can't wait 6 more months. I mean, I can if I have to. I said, well, what if I go light? You know, I don't need to go full tilt competition. She said, yeah, if you go light, then if you take it easy, that should be fine. And talking to the private physical therapist, he actually said, going back to jiu-jitsu, but don't be like competing at your full potential. Don't do like really heavy rounds. Will actually aid in your rehabilitation. So, and he asked me my goals, like, do you want to go to like competitions in the future? I said, you know what, look, my main focus right now is I do want to play my sport again. I want to get back to one of my favorite hobbies. However, my focus is not to get re-injured. I don't want to be I don't want to be on the surgery table, okay? I don't want to go through a long rehabilitation process. So that's basically where I'm at. You know, they're doing these beautiful stretches on me. I had my girlfriend come to the first session with the private physical therapist, and he taught her something she can do with me. And then I bought some like bands, bands that I'm sort of working certain muscles. And one thing that I noticed is from the physical therapist telling me is that I tend to use the muscles up here rather than the muscles down here for sort of externally rotating. Which is a bad thing. So I'm trying to be more conscious of the muscles I'm moving. He said to work on my boxer muscle. It's like a muscle down here, like kind of when you push up. So I'm doing that. And then I've learned some other things, some other external rotation things, because the main muscles that I'm trying to work out right now are the muscles that sort of stabilize the joint. Okay, so then I had this thing. All right, I'm in good hands. I'm making progress. When do I go back? Well, let's just go back. Let's take the plunge and I'll go light. So I finally decided to do that. And as excited as I was also very nervous, very scared, because I hadn't trained in about 10 months. And first thing that happened was so I called my friend Andrew. I say, hey, I'd like to go back. Is the gym still open? Because I saw that it was closed. He's like, actually, our gym's closed under renovation, but there's another gym. I will pick you up. I will come by your house. You ride your scooter, follow me on my scooter. I'll take you to a new gym. So I come outside, parked his scooter. He's smoking a cigarette, looking super cool. And the first thing he says, you got fat. Because I did get fat, man. I tried not to. I started running and walking when I couldn't use my shoulder. But man, oh man, I just wasn't getting enough exercise. And even though I was running and walking so much that I actually ended up getting a bad case of plantar fasciitis and had to go see a foot doctor. And this is one of these issues is like, so you fix this problem, but then all of a sudden now you're having problems with your left shoulder because you're using it more often, or now you're having problems with your foot because you can't do your normal grappling workout. So now you got to run to make up, to try to lose all these calories. And oh my God, just the compounding problems that can happen, from just trying to fix something. All right. Enough of that. I go to this new judo gym because there's no jiu-jitsu. I love jiu-jitsu, but there's no jiu-jitsu gyms in the city I live in yet. Maybe I'll open up one day. But I go there and I meet the boss. The boss is chewing betel nut, you know, this kind of like filthy nut, you know. And there's a kids group, there's some adults, and I'm like, okay, I don't think I'm gonna try to spar too much. I just want to roll around on the mat, you know, and maybe just do some basic movements. But, and I did some basic movements, and I did some judo drills for like a couple like basic easy judo drills. And I have to say, it felt really, really good to be in my gi, my Jiu-Jitsu gi, and tie my belt and to be on these mats. And even though I was kind of unfamiliar with the people, for the most part, just my friend Andrew and then another woman, a prison guard woman from my old gym that I know. And then just like pretty early on into the class, I'm told by a couple of black belts that one of them is going to like a competition and he needs some training. So Ryan, you're gonna spar with him. So I was like, oh my God, that's not and I look at the guy. The guy's like about 2 inches shorter than me, but just a barrel of a man, very thick, very powerful looking black belt. Yeah, so I was sort of like, oh, because he looked really tough. He looked like he had been through battle. But my friend Andrew's like, don't worry, he's not great, so don't worry. I'm like, okay, all right. And I find out that we're gonna start standing. I didn't really want to do any standing like throws because I'm worried I might get thrown on my shoulder. So I just say, hey, look, I'm cool, but just don't throw me on this shoulder, okay? So we end up rolling, and surprisingly, I mean, I don't like to sound cocky, but hey, I did really, really well. Controlled the match completely. Was taking his back, and we had a good pace. We weren't going balls to the wall, but we were pushing each other, both standing up and on the ground. I was conscious of my shoulder, conscious of, you know, movements. I was using it, but trying not to overuse it. And I got a lot of not a lot of rounds. I would say 3 rounds with that guy, and then a couple rounds with Wen Ning, and as well as some drills. And the next day, I felt so good, by the way. I felt like my old self, like this familiar self, when you come back from a grappling session and you're just tired, but you feel good inside. The next day felt similar. And my shoulder was like a little sore, but not bad, you know? So I'm gonna be going to training. Maybe I think a good pace would be 2 days a week for now, and then maybe slowly ramp it up, continue doing my rehabilitation exercises. And I will probably do a follow-up video, maybe in a few months at the 9-month mark, or maybe it'll be at a year mark. But overall, if you guys have any questions about the whole process, put it down below. I just want to say, at the 6-month mark, I am not done, you know? That's like the ideal time of completion, but I am not done. I am still in the process of rehabilitating my shoulder. You know, the jury's still out whether or not it was absolutely worth it. I think it was. I feel like it was right now because it was only getting worse, and could have dropped. I mean, it was just getting worse and worse, and it was hard to sleep. And but I still have issues, you know. So it's not a done deal, but much better. And it's been a big part of my life, and I hopefully in the near future, I won't even have to think about it too much. Anyways, thank you guys for watching this video. My name's Ryan. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.